We're Pathfinders. We're Pathfinders. Listen to our song. Loving nature's what we do, so won't you come along? We'll journey on together, sharing what we know. Looking for adventure everywhere we go. We're Pathfinders.
Well, good morning to you, Pathfinders. Welcome along to our live lesson. It's great to have you joining me today, whether you're live or on catch up. A big welcome along. I can see we've got lots of people joining us live in the chat. That's great to see you all here. Hello to Timmy and Iris. Hello to Betty May and Eleanor and Niqua, Georgia, George and Killian, and hello to Maya, Hannah, William and Samantha. Hello to Hamida and Aurora, Tiana, Evie and Connie, and Michael and Matthew, Oliver and Finley. Oh my goodness, I can't keep up. Theo, Violet, Harper. Hello. Hello to Molly, Ebony, Zach, Olivia, Maya and Lily, Finn, Scarlett and Theo, Hamida and George, Callie and Teddy. Good morning to Fergal and Roisin. Oh, unwell, but you're going to watch on catch up. Well, hello to you if you're watching on catch up later. I hope you're feeling better. Hello to Ezra and Tweed, Archie and Ben, Cora, and you can see us this time. Thanks for letting me know. Fantastic. Samantha, I sing along every week to that song too. And then it sticks in my head for the rest of the day. I'm glad it's not just me singing along. Hello to Ollie and Freya, Taylor, Eve and Rosie, River, Alina, Guy, Ella, Alice. There's so many of us. My goodness. Aspen, Dahlia and Bodie. Hello, Atlas and Leaf. Hello to Willow and Caden. And Theo, I think I've got everybody. My goodness. Well, hello. If I haven't given you a shout out, a big welcome along. This is Pathfinders, our home ed nature loving session. And I know you lot really love nature. Well, that was very clear this week with our autumn bunting challenge, which you guys really got involved with. I can't wait to share everybody's creations later on with you. Your houses are going to be beautifully decorated this autumn. There were some lovely decorations and lots of creativity too. Well, what do you think then, Pathfinders? Shall we dive straight into our first activity? Today, we're thinking about life underground, the life that, unless we look very closely, we don't always see. And we're thinking about not only maybe tiny creatures, insects, mini beasts that might live in the undergrowth and underground, but also those animals that might dig through the earth to make a home or make somewhere safe to shelter. So thinking about digging, what animals would you associate with that? Let's think about that first. Which animals do you associate with living underground or with digging? Have a little think. And while I was doing some research on this week, well, quite a few of these actually surprised me. We're going to have a little activity in a minute about whether we think animals dig or they don't dig to create their habitats. What do you think then? Right, well, we've got moles. We're pretty confident on that. Lots of you have said moles. What about worms, badgers, foxes? Another vote for moles and foxes. Rabbits, another good one. Well, or snakes perhaps. And What else have we got? Hedgehogs, maybe. So a few different animals to investigate already. Woodlice, worms, ants, termites, moles. Cora says rabbits because she thinks they make burrows. Foxes. Another vote for badgers as well. Well, shall we have a little go at this? We're going to have a look at some animals and see if you can work out whether they are diggers or whether they don't dig at all. Or sometimes they might be both. They might be in the middle. So they might sometimes dig or be able to dig underground, but they don't always live there. Or perhaps they're sneaky and they steal other animals' tunnels or homes that they've dug underground. Let's have a go.
Look at some animals who love to dig and some that don't. Can you decide which of these animals dig to build their habitats and which don't? And some that maybe do both. We'll start with a mole. Does it dig or not? Moles most definitely dig. Moles live and spend almost their entire lives underground, creating complex tunnel systems to find their food of insects and worms. Our next animal, rabbits. Are these diggers? Yes, they are. Rabbits live under the soil in burrows and connected tunnel systems called warrens, where they sleep, nest and escape from danger. Digging is a normal instinctive behaviour for rabbits. Next is a fox. Does this animal dig to create its home? Or maybe not. Or perhaps both. Yeah, the fox can stay where it is because it kind of does both. These mammals are highly adaptable. They do dig underground dens known as earths and burrows, and these are their preferred location for raising young cubs because they provide safety and shelter. Although foxes may dig their own dens, they often use existing ones made by other animals, such as badgers. Next up is the water vole. Did these animals dig? Yes, they do. These semi-aquatic rodents dig their burrows into the soil along riverbanks to create a safe, sustainable habitat. They gnaw through the dirt rather than scratch with their paws and then push the dirt aside with their front feet. How about bats? Do you think they dig to create a safe habitat? No, they don't dig. Bats are only flying mammals, use trees, bridges and caves to live in. They don't dig underground. Some species may forage or roost near the ground, or occasionally use burrows created by other animals, but they're not diggers. Our next animal is an otter. What do you think about these? Are they diggers? Well, we're leaving otters in the middle for both, because generally they do not dig their homes, known as holts, from scratch. They tend to use or expand existing structures like rabbit holes, cavities in tree roots, or natural crevices along the riverbanks. They are capable of digging if needed, but they don't often dig their homes from scratch. We've got our first bird next, an oyster catcher. Do you think it digs to create a home? It doesn't dig. Oyster catchers mostly live on rocky shores, estuaries and mudflats, and even sometimes farmland. They nest on the bare ground, or sometimes in short grass. This allows for early detection of predators. This is a pine marten, but the question is, does it dig to create a habitat? Nope, they don't dig. Pine martens are primarily tree-dwelling mammals. They mostly shelter in tree cavities and rock crevices. If another animal has dug an underground burrow, they might just make themselves at home, especially in less wooded areas, but they don't dig themselves a home. How about this little creature, the harvest mouse? Is this a digger? Well, we'll leave them in the both section because they don't primarily live underground. They build intricate spherical nests high up in tall grasses or reeds during the breeding season. However, in winter, they do spend time in underground burrows, which they might dig themselves or use from other rodents to stay warm and shelter from the elements. but this is winter-specific behaviour rather than their main habitat. Next up, it's the red squirrel. Which category are you going to put these in? They don't dig. Red squirrels are a native woodland mammal that nests in trees, making its home in the tree canopy rather than digging underground. And we'll finish with another bird, the kingfisher. Is this a digger? Kingfishers do dig burrows in soil or sand, usually in riverbanks, to create their nests. They use their bills and feet to excavate a tunnel leading to a nesting chamber where they lay their eggs.
Well, how did you get on with that, Pathfinders? I think lots of you, I was watching it all in the chat. I think lots of you got loads of those right. Well done. Some of them, it was quite unexpected. I was quite surprised about water bowls. I kind of thought, yes, they do probably dig and live in riverbanks. But I didn't think they would actually gnaw at the soil with their teeth and then pull all of the soil out with their front paws. That was an interesting one. And what about otters? They're perfectly capable of digging, but they prefer to just sneak in and steal a hole that someone else has dug. And the kingfishers, did that surprise any of you? I read about these, that the male kingfisher will fly headfirst into the riverbank to make an initial dent in the mud and the soil before then starting to burrow away and claw at the soil to make a hole. I thought, wow, that was really amazing. How powerful that is, that it just flies in to create that starting point for their habitat. So well done. Oh, Harrison, you saw a fox in your garden last night. Well, that was very exciting. Did it stay for long? Or did it quickly leave? I wonder. Kingfishers, yeah, that was a surprise to you as well, Arthur. Yeah, me too. It definitely made me want to find out more. But for those of you that have been with Pathfinders for a while, you'll know that a kingfisher is that one bird I'm desperate to see, and I still haven't seen one. Have any of you ever seen a kingfisher? There is a hide in the wildlife park up the road from me, and I've been there many a time, sitting and waiting very patiently. And I hope one day I might see one. You'll be the first to know, Pathfinders, if I do. I don't have a frog update for you at the moment. There's been no frog action on my front wall outside recently, but hopefully there'll be some frogs back in the spring. It might be getting a little bit cold for them now. Right then, Pathfinders, I think it's time we all headed outside. What do you reckon? Shall we join the first, drumroll please, the first of our Pathfinder Pack presenters for this season? We're going to join Josh today. Hello, Josh, if you're watching along live. You have created a beautiful nature walk video for us to enjoy. Josh has been busy out and about investigating. Let's see what he discovered.
Hi, my name is Josh. Let's go on the nature walk. It's a rabbit burrow. Rabbits dig under the ground to protect themselves from predators and the weather. Come on, let's go find some other stuff. Let's have a look under here. Oh look! Woodlice. Woodlice have 14 legs and an exoskeleton. They like to live under damp and dark places. This tree is so rotten it's got a fungus sticking out of it. Look what I found. It's a little hole. I wonder what lives in it. Oh, a snail! There's a spider protecting its egg sac. Come on, let's go find some more. I found a worm. Worms like to live in places that are damp and dark. They dig little tunnels in the ground and come up when it's raining and nice and moist. And they eat the dead leaves and plant matter. I found a beetle. Look at how cool it is. Look under this pot. Oh my gosh, there are a lot of ants under here. Hi, I'm in my garden. Let's see if we can find anything in my plant bed. Oh my goodness. There's one. Oh, okay. Oh, is that one? Oh, it is. It's alive. Let's see if there's anything under the stone. Oh, wow. Thanks for coming on the nature walk with me. Bye.
Bye, Josh. Amazing. Thank you so much, Josh. That was a brilliant nature walk. You did find so much. Your Pathfinder friends in the chat are saying just how much you saw. That was great. And you just kept looking, didn't you? Lifting things up and taking your time. What a load of good discoveries. I loved that footage you got of the spider protecting its egg sacs. That felt really special to see that. And also the beetle. That was really cool. It was so shiny. And the spiders, all of those ants, my goodness. And well done for finding some worms. I had a go at finding some earthworms this week, and they just mustn't like the soil in my garden. But your garden looked like a great place for worms. You found loads. So well done. You've got lots of lovely comments from your Pathfinder friends. So thank you for making that video for us all to enjoy together. And we'll have another Pathfinder Pack presenter next week. If anyone's applied to be a Pathfinder Pack presenter, remember you need to fill in a form, grown-ups, before we can put you on the list. We've got a bit of a long list now, but we're working our way through. Everyone will get a turn. Sometimes you've got to be a bit patient to wait for our turn. If for any reason, parents, you can no longer take part in it, do please let me know so that I can move someone else into that gap up the list. Right then. Let's, Josh helped us out there with finding some earthworms. So shall we learn some more about them together? Let's take a little look then and learn a little bit more about earthworms. Right. We'll start off with a diagram. Let's have a little look at this then. So we've got the head. An earthworm has no eyes and a toothless mouth. It's got special sensors in its skin to help it to sense light. So it knows, I suppose, how deep into the soil it is at any time. this was an interesting one. The earthworm doesn't have any lungs. It soaks up the oxygen through its skin. It doesn't have lungs. So that's why quite often when it rains, we'll see those earthworms coming up to the surface. You may even see them out on the pavement in the rain, because if the water becomes really saturated and wet, they can no longer absorb that oxygen. So they need to kind of escape to where the air is. We've got the clitellum, which stores the earthworm's eggs. You might have noticed that band around the middle of an earthworm. And then these bristles, and we've got a little close-up shot there of those. The bristles on the segments of the earthworm's body are what helps it to ripple and move through the ground. So really important, particularly if the ground is a bit harder, it's got to have that power to be able to propel itself through. Let's have a look. We've got two lovely wormy pictures there. Worms produce a slimy mucus. It's a bit like slugs and snails do. You may not have noticed it quite so much with worms, but that helps with their respiration by keeping their skin nice and moist, allowing that oxygen to enter their bloodstream through the pores. So not breathing through their mouth like we do. It also helps them to move easily through the soil. So that mucus is really important. So that's why if you're investigating or looking at earthworms, don't leave them out of that soil for too long. We don't want them to sort of get too dried out. Keep them somewhere that's a little bit moist. Why does our world need earthworms? Well, they are super important. Their slime that they produce also contains nitrogen, which helps our plants to grow. So they're so beneficial to our planet. All of that nitrogen going into the soil is really going to help with all of our plants. The tunnels that they make in the soil also fantastically helpful because they help all of the water to reach the roots of the plants. So soil with lots of worms in it, that's really great soil, and those plants are going to do really well, just like those ones in your garden, Josh. You learned that worms' sense of smell is located in their bum. Well, I never knew that. That is a cool fact. Why else then? What about our world needing earthworms? Well, as they move through the soil, earthworms poo. And these are called castings. You might have noticed these. Have a look when you're out and about this week. See if you can find any. These castings are fantastic because they create a nutrient-rich soil. They're often used as a form of compost. Worms can eat their own weight in food in one day. That is a lot of food. Imagine if we ate our own body weight in food in one day. I don't think we'd manage it, would we? We'd probably be very ill. But worms do. So what do they eat? Do we know? What do earthworms eat? Have a think about that. Oh, Taylor made a wormery so you could see the tunnels. Oh, fantastic. Maybe you could share a photo of that if you've got one with us. Let's have a look. Earthworms eat soil. Their nutrition comes from things in the soil, such as decaying roots, leaves, bacteria, fungi even. Animal manure is another really important food source for earthworms. So yeah, they do. So a couple of you said soil and rotting plants, mud, dirt, and the nutrients in it. Yep, spot on. Well done, Pathfinders. Let's have a little look at this life cycle of an earthworm. My goodness, that's very small. I can hardly see it. Well, there's the start right at the top, number one. Earthworms' eggs. They're held in a protective cocoon, which is buried in the soil until they hatch. Each cocoon hatches between 1 and 5 earthworms inside just one of those cocoons. So different from some other creatures who maybe have a cocoon or an egg sac, this has got lots of earthworms within that. And then we've got the hatchlings coming out of the cocoon and burrowing into the soil to grow into adult earthworms. Earthworms become fully grown at around, how long is that? 6 weeks old. So 6 weeks till an earthworm is fully grown. And you may, if you're having a look this week, you may discover some really small, tiny ones where they've not fully grown yet. They're able to lay eggs from about 4 weeks old. So even before they're fully grown, they can start laying eggs. And there's a little close-up shot of those earthworm eggs. There we go. Right then, Pathfinders, I think, shall we move on to a little quiz? Shall we get your brains fired up again? Right then, let's play the Diggers quiz. So we're going from very, very small earthworms. We're going back to some maybe slightly bigger animals, some bigger mammals with the Digger quiz. Let's give this one a go, shall we? Okay, here comes question 1 then, everyone. Lock in those brains. What is the name of an underground home for a badger? What do we call that? Anybody know? We've heard a few different names, haven't we? Heard about a rabbit burrow and then their tunnels called warrens. Do we know what a badger's home is called? Could it be? We've got some guesses. Could it be called a burrow as well? Is it a den? What do you think? Now, Zach thinks it could be a set. And Aurora, you agree. Hannah, William and Samantha agree too. Shall we see? It is. Well done. A badger lives in a set. Are badgers herbivores? Are they carnivores? Or are they omnivores? Do we know the difference between those three? I'm sure you probably do. Herbivores eating just plants. Carnivores eating just meat, and omnivores eating a bit of both. What do you think to badgers? Do you know what they eat? We're alternating between maybe herbivores and omnivores, but most people saying omnivores, I think, probably has the majority of the vote. Should we see if we're right? With omnivores, what do you think? Yes, omnivores. So they will eat plants and berries and things like that, but also they love to eat worms. Sorry, worms. A badger, one of its favorite food, but they will eat, both things. So they're omnivores. What is the name of a female fox? What do we call a female fox? Do you know? Let's have a think. What do you reckon then, Pathfinders? I'll wait to see a few answers pop up in the chat, give you some thinking time. You know what a female fox is? Elodie was straight in there saying it's a vixen. Eve agrees. Nola and Callie, you agree as well. So does Harrison. Shall we see? A vixen. Well done. Let's see the next one. Moles have a special way of protecting their eyes from dirt while they're digging. What is it? Do you know? So moles have a special way of protecting their eyes from dirt. How do you think they do it? What do you reckon? Well, they don't wear goggles underground. What could they have to protect their eyes? Do they close them? Do they squint, perhaps? Do they have 2 sets of eyelid, a special eyelid? Moles are blind. They're not totally blind. I think quite often we think that with moles, don't we? They're not totally blind. They can see, just not very well at all. Their eyes do function. What do we think? Aspen says some sort of eyelid. Let's see. They do. I think if you're on the right track here, Pathfinders, that's kind of a special eyelid. They've got a thin layer of skin over their eyes, which protects them from all of that soil and dirt. So almost like a kind of a double eyelid. They've got this extra layer of skin, which, considering they can't see very well at all in the first place, that's going to make it even harder to see, isn't it? I suppose that is why we often think of them as not being able to see. Have a look at this one. Moles are solitary creatures and tend to live alone. But is this true or false? I think we did a little special section, didn't we, on moles about this time last year with our marvellous mud session. I wonder if any of you can remember about moles and how they live. Do they live alone? Yes, Arthur, I should think that probably is part of the reason why they can't see very well. Yeah, that extra layer of skin. I'll need to look that up a bit more. Maybe we can research it as well. We could find out. So what do we think? We're going with true, I think. A few false. Should we find out? It is true. They do live alone. They're quite solitary. So quite often, if you see in a field there's quite a few molehills, the chances are it's dug by the same mole, not a whole field full of them. Let's have another. How long does it take kingfishers to build their nest in the riverbank? So from that very first attack that we were talking about earlier, the male kingfisher flying head first into the riverbank until the nest is built and they've got a safe tunnel to live in. How long do you think it takes? This is a tricky one, isn't it? You can just have a guess. What do you reckon? 2 months? Could it be 2 weeks? Could it be 2 hours? We've got guesses all the way from 2 hours up to 2 months. It's a tricky one, isn't it? I think, yeah, have a guess if you're not sure. What do you reckon? I mean, they're going to need to build it fairly quickly, aren't they? Because that's how they're going to stay safe. But also, it must be quite a tricky challenge for a bird to dig a hole. Let's have a look. 2 to 3 weeks. Well done if you guessed around that time. Well done. So that's a big commitment, isn't it, to them for 2 to 3 weeks to be focused on building that house. Right then, Pathfinders, shall we find out what our spot of the week is this week? I think you should go searching this week underground. Let's take a look at how I got on when I had a go.
Hi Pathfinders, it's Kirsty and Winnie here, and it's time for our spot of the week. For our spot of the week this week, we're going underground, but you don't need to dig and dig and dig. By underground, let's include things like looking under flower pots, perhaps under a log or in the bottom of a hedgerow. See what you can find.
First, I had a look inside an old flower pot. I found a couple of woodlice and a centipede that didn't hang around long. Taking a look under these old tiles in a flower bed, I found a few things. A large slug, a spider, you can just about see it in the bottom right corner, and a snail too, all staying safe out of sight. A couple of tiny baby snails and another woodlouse. I thought I'd find out some more about them.
Woodlice are a terrestrial, which means on land, crustacean. You might have heard that word crustacean before. Woodlice are actually related to lobsters and crabs, not insects. They have 14 legs and an exoskeleton, which as the woodlouse grows, they actually molt and it regrows as they become bigger. How do you think a woodlouse breathes? They actually use gills. These gills require moisture, so that's why you'll often find them in a nice damp place. Woodlice are kind of like superheroes. They feed on dead matter like rotting leaves, and then that gets recycled back into the soil with all the nutrients.
So there it is, our spot of the week this week, something hiding underground. Good luck, Pathfinders.
Well, lots of you pleased to see my dog Winnie there. She's back. And she did get quite confused with why I was so interested in looking and digging around underground. She did start digging up everywhere then. So she was a little bit annoying. But there we go. So see what you can find this week when you're out and about, Pathfinders, whether that's in your back garden or on a nature walk. Be curious, take your time, look under and around things, see what you can discover. Woodlice were definitely the most popular thing that I could find. But yeah, you let us know how you get on with that. And remember, you can take a photo or do a little sketch of your spot of the week and include it in your Pathfinders scrapbook. Right then, it's time for us now to find some paths around the world. Our new feature for Pathfinders this half term, we're spreading our wings and we're heading off all around the world. And this week, we're looking at animals around the world which might live underground. So we've got a message, first of all, for the Pathfinders from Africa about some mammals which love to dig tunnels. An animal in Africa that loves to dig tunnels. What do you think? Any ideas what it could be? Shall we find out? Who is our message from? Aha, who recognises that animal? Has anyone seen one, maybe at a wildlife park? Meerkats. They live in grasslands and deserts in countries in southern Africa. They live in underground tunnels called burrows. It's like we call a rabbit's burrow its home. Burrows can be up to 5 meters long and have lots of different entrances and rooms. So underneath that ground, there can be all sorts growing on in a meerkat habitat, and they'll pop up from lots of different entrances and exits. They live in family groups with usually about 20 members in a group. So they really think safety in numbers and they stick together. They've got long, sharp claws, great for digging. They are expert diggers, and they have really good eyesight. One meerkat in each group will stand guard to look for danger on a high point outside the burrow. You may well have seen that. It will bark or whistle to warn others if they think there's some danger on the way. So that's our meerkats. Timmy and Iris, you were lucky enough to cuddle a meerkat once. Wow, that was special. And at the safari park, Taylor, you were told they have 2 sets of eyelids. Oh, how interesting. Also, I suppose that's going to help protect them from all that dirt and mud, or even a sandstorm if they are in the desert. Well, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing. Okay, we've got another message. Where are we going from? Where are we hearing from this time? Here's a message all the way from Australia about a marsupial that cools off underground. So to escape that hot Australian sun, this marsupial uses the underground to cool down. But what do you think? Any ideas of a marsupial? Shall we find out? It's a wombat. Yeah, someone was straight in with a guess. Well done. Wombats are marsupials found in Australia. They've got short, strong legs and long claws for digging. Their claws are really long compared with their little kind of short legs. They've got these really then long claws. Great diggers. They dig homes called burrows into the ground. Wombats are mostly nocturnal. They hunt for food during the night when it's much cooler. A wombat's pouch. Now, I found this really interesting, and I've found a photo of it here. Can you see the pouch at the bottom there? The wombat's pouch faces backwards. So when it digs, dirt doesn't go into the pouch where the babies grow. Usually, and they usually come out at night to eat. So that was really interesting. What a great design of that animal, so that as they're digging, they're not getting loads of dirt in their pouch. There we go. Well, there's our paths around the world for this week, Pathfinders. Right then, I think it's time we saw what all of you lot have been up to this week since we all met. You've taken on the Scraptastic challenge brilliantly. Let's have a look at what you created. Well done, Pathfinders. Absolutely brilliant. Like I said, your homes are now beautifully decorated. You are definitely ready to celebrate autumn. And I put my bunting up too. And lots of you saying in the chat about wombats having cubed poop. That's amazing. And I've definitely learned something new today. That's brilliant. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. That is what makes Pathfinders so special. We are definitely all learning together. You guys teach me so much. Hey, those of you that joined me for Not Back to School Week, didn't I say that was one of the things? That was my wish for the year, for us all to learn together and for me to learn and be inspired by you. Well, there you go. It's happening already. I knew it would. Fantastic. Oh, Holly, that's lovely to hear about your nature walk this week. That you found loads and loads of seeds and even wrote a story about the journey of a seed. That's brilliant. Well done, Pathfinders, for that Scraptastic challenge. But are you ready for another one? Yeah, right. This week's Scraptastic challenge, well, is a bit of kind of creative freedom. I've done one type of challenge, but it's up to you how you approach this one. Well, maybe it'll become clear once you see what I made.
It's time for a Scraptastic challenge. This week, how about making an underground game or picture? Like all good Scraptastic challenges, we often start by using recycling. I'm using a cardboard box. I cut one side off and then put to one side. Next, I printed off some animals that spend a lot of time underground. I cut these out, used the spare bits of box to create a backing for them so they're a bit more sturdy. They can go in the box till later. Next, I decorated the outside of the box using some green paper for grass and drew some mud too, and attached that with sticky tape. Next, I wrote out 3 clues for each of my 3 animals. Cut these out and backed them with some cardboard. I cut some spare ribbon I had into 3 thin sections and I'm ready to put it all together. I attached the 3 clues to one piece of ribbon with the animal that was the answer on the end. Next, I added a lid to the box, which I realised I could have just kept the bit of the box intact from earlier, but we learn as we go with these Scraptastic challenges. I've cut 3 slits in the top and then fed each ribbon with the clues through. Then as you pull each ribbon, you get a clue and another clue and another clue. See if you can guess what the animal is by the time it's revealed. So there's my Scraptastic challenge. Can you create a game or a picture about underground animals?
And there it is. There's my Scraptastic creation, ready to be displayed. I'll pop it just there. So like I said, it's the challenge this week is a game, maybe a picture, maybe a puzzle, some sort of activity which maybe people can play together about underground animals. Maybe some of the things we've learned about today, maybe some of those digging mammals, or perhaps some of the mini beasts, maybe just about worms. The other idea I did have, which I didn't do, was to do, instead of snakes and ladders game, I was going to do worms and flowers. That was my other idea. But then I went for the box idea in the end. And like all these things, these ideas, sometimes you start off with one thing and it develops and changes into something else. So it's always interesting to have a go and see what you come up with. So some sort of game, picture, puzzle, story, totally up to you, about our underground animals. Right then, we're nearly at the end. It's gone just too quick today. Right then, what have we got left to do? We've got our checklist to have a little look at. So I'm leaving you today with plenty to keep you busy before we all meet again next week. Of course, we've got the Pathfinder scrapbook. Or someone's asked, can you draw pictures of underground animals? Of course you can. I'd love to see that. Oh, and some comments about people. If you're still working on it, don't worry at all. If you're still working on your autumn bunting decoration, you can share it in next week's sharing post. So yeah, don't worry. There is no kind of rush with any of this. You do it at your own pace. Right then. We've got then a resource investigating wood lice. I thought, well, maybe you could do a close-up investigation. There's some activities in there, maybe a mind map of who lives underground. And you could fill this in, or you could use it as just a prompt to chat about all these different animals. What do you know about them? What might you want to find out more about? And then I've also shared this week some extra scrapbooking stuff. These are some stickers which you could print off to include in your scrapbook. And you can have the coloured ones, or you can colour them in yourself. I thought that was quite a nice addition maybe to our scrapbooks. So your checklist for this week, your spot of the week, Pathfinders, see what you can find underground or under things. You could do an investigation into woodlice. Maybe you could make a worm fact file and take on the Scraptastic challenge. Make a game, make a picture of who's hiding underground. So have a brilliant week. That's plenty to keep us busy, isn't it? And have lots of fun when you're out and about in nature. And I will see you all again next Monday at 11 a.m. for another Pathfinders. See you all soon. Bye, Pathfinders.
Enjoy golden autumn sunsets. Discover seeds upon the ground. On our Pathfinder adventures, there are so many treasures to be found. We'll journey on together, sharing what we know, looking after nature everywhere we go. See you soon, Pathfinders.